Hi, it's Steph's World. This is video number 6, and I wasn't feeling real well earlier today, but I decided you can't let that stop you at this point, at this stage of the game. You cannot do that. You must continue. Okay, what I want to talk about, and I've been on the subject of love a lot, okay? Now I'm going to talk about something definitely love related, but it's also going to talk about something that we learned when we were babies. Oh yes, when we were babies. So let me start with this. I wonder if anyone's ever heard the expression, our Father, for they know not what they do. Surely you've heard that. Or dear Father, for they know not what they do. I've talked about before how I had to learn to love myself. Well, in the process of that, I also had to learn to forgive, to let go, and to let go of some pretty hefty things in my life. To probably relearn how to really love again. So one of the things that was a real helpful thing was this. Dear Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I kind of turned that around and said, Dear Lord, help me to forgive them, for I know not what I do. Now I know that sounds strange, but in a way it is exactly true. And let me tell you why. If I hold a resentment or anger towards another human being, that's not love. That's not love at all. There's something wrong with who? Them? No. With me. One of the other things that I do, or I have done, is on my bathroom mirror, I will put a little post-it note up there, and it says, if I have a problem, look here. My problems are me, not you, not the guy across the street, not my parents, not anyone. If I have a problem, it's inside of me. And I'm the one who must deal with it, with my Creator's help. Okay, now let's start at, I want to tell a little story. When my daughter was about, let's see, she must have been about 3 years old maybe, right around there. We were just getting back on our feet. We had lived in a car, all things. I tried to get my relationship straightened out with her father. And I was working as a bartender slash waitress in a bar. But I made excellent money doing that. And our rent was amazingly cheap. I mean, it was a miraculous situation, and I mean it. Absolutely miraculous. The first 6 years of our lives in Kansas City, Missouri was an amazing time. Now, I'm not going to say I was a wonderful, great woman, because I wasn't. But I did do some good things for me and for my children. But here's something that I did that wasn't so good. I think a lot of parents do things like this. I don't think I'm the only one. Okay? Because I work nights, I would sleep later in the morning. I would not get home until 3 o'clock at night. That was from cleaning the bar. Once in a while, I would go out to eat with one of my girlfriends who I worked with. I was married at the time. I was with my husband at that time, doing our best to make that marriage work, doing our very best. But frankly, it was becoming very obvious that the marriage was not going to work. Anyway, I tried to hang in there. And I'm not going to get into anything about the marriage right now. That's my business and his business. It's not your business. Only if there's something about it that I feel will help some of the points that I may talk about. Right now I want to talk about my dear, dear daughter, who I love with all my heart. And I posted a bunch of pictures of her and her family online just recently. When she was about 3, maybe, I'm pretty sure that's about the age she was. She had her own room. It was just a few steps away from my room, by the way. Now, she was a child who was still at home because she was young. She was my youngest child. At any rate, I would have to sleep in a little bit because I worked so late at night. So it was wrong of me to not put her in my bed with me, but she wouldn't have stayed. You know, she was an active, normal little 3-year-old. I tried to stay up with her. In fact, it got to after this incident, I would lay down on the couch and turn on Sesame Street for her. And I'm going to talk about some more stuff when my children were young and when some other things. But anyway, one morning, I got up. My daughter was very busy drawing. She was drawing. She had been drawing in her room on the wall. She drew in the hallway on the wall. Now, one thing that I had a real problem with was physically harming my children. I did everything in my power to not spank them. Now, when they were little, and of course we had to let them know that fire would hurt them, I would tap their hands in a little tapping way. My daughter was so afraid of being spanked that she would cry at the mere mention of, "You might get a spanking." I hardly ever touched my daughter, but a few times I did. And this was one of those times. I will admit it, I lost it. I lost it. I didn't beat her, but I made my daughter feel like she did the most horrible thing any creature on this earth could have done. And where did I come from? I mean, what? I claim to have been around the people of the hippie land and all of that. Oh, bull. That was a bunch of crap. It really was. But anyway, I made my daughter feel terrible at such a young age. I instilled guilt and shame into my little innocent girl. And that was the worst thing any mother could ever do or father. I never thought about it until she grew up. And then I tried to make amends, but it was too late. It may not be too late now, but I feel like for the rest of my life, I will always make amends to her. Now, why does that seem like such a big deal? Because it is. It is a big deal. What did I do to her? I harmed her soul. See, I was angry at her, not for drawing or being an artist, but that's how she took it. She was a little girl. How else would she take it? Her soul interpreted what I said as, you're doing artwork, that's wrong, you're terrible, you should never do this, I don't ever want you to do this. And guess what? She didn't do much artwork. Not ever. She did some, like a normal child, when they went to school, but she never really did it like she did then. I took that away from her. And no, I'm not beating myself up, but I am being honest. Because that's just one example that me as a parent of things that I did. And how did I learn to do that? From my parents. One of the things that I learned in my spiritual advancement was that one of my biggest problems in life was guilt and shame within myself. And not guilt and shame over things I did as an adult. Guilt and shame over childhood experiences. How can a child feel guilty for being a child? Why should a child feel guilty for being a child? Why would I make a child feel guilty for being a child? For wanting to learn to expand themselves, to draw on the walls. So what? So what? Was I so selfish and so inconsiderate? I never thought once about what I was doing to my little girl. Not once. I cleaned it up, even though I threatened her that she would have to clean it up. Well, when I look back today, if I had to do it all over today, I would have loved it up. I would have told my little girl, wonderful. You are a wonderful artist, my darling daughter. But I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I made my sweet, and she was so sweet and loving. I made my beautiful little girl feel like she was just a piece of dirt. It's one of the things that I had to remember in my life, that I had to take stock of, that I had to do an inventory of, and I did it. Now, today, I can release it. I can let it go. What's done is done. But what I can do is I can warn other parents not to make my mistakes. Or I can help my daughter walk. She doesn't need my help. She has done a fantastic job with my granddaughters. They are learning amazing things, absolutely amazing things. She is home teaching them, and I am so glad that she is able to do that. I'm so proud of her. But anyway, one of these days, I am going to sit down with my dear daughter, and I am going to spell out what I am so upset about as far as when she was a child, the things that I did to her. And I'm sure I did things to my son too, Matt, who is now passed. But I wanted to use this as one of my examples. And shame and guilt, that's a toughie. You know, we don't stop to think, how did we start feeling shame and guilt in the first place? Well, for me, I started feeling it when I was a little girl, and I didn't even know why. But I could tell you exactly why. Because I've looked back in time, and I know what happened to me and why. When a parent spanks you and tells you that you did a terrible thing, when you did something that you saw the parent do, or you've heard the parent say these words, and all you do is repeat them, but the child is punished. Well, we got a problem when we do things like that. Because when we do things like that little child, that 3-year-old, thinks that they are the worst thing in the world. That they have done the most horrible thing imaginable in this world. We have actually touched their little souls. And by the way, I am going to talk about souls too. Not today, but the fact that that soul in that child is probably, in my mind, fully developed. It's the new, well, I'm running out of time now. Oh, I'm really running out of time. Okay, I wanted to get to that point about shame and guilt and remembering that saying, for they know not what they do, right? I had to say that a lot, and I still do.